you ever feel like your home is slowly turning into a storage unit? That the more you live in it, the less space there seems to be for your keys, your glasses, even for yourself? I used to think clutter was just about things. Too many books, too many shoes, too many mugs from too many Christmases. But that was before I met Yuki. She's a quiet woman in her 60s, with silver hair tied neatly and a calmness that made the noise of the festival around us just fade away. We met at the Cherry Blossom Festival in San Francisco, and in just one short conversation, she told me something that changed how I saw my entire home. She said, "Clutter isn't just stuff on your shelves, it's weight on your shoulders, and peace isn't something you find, it's something you create, one drawer, one habit at a time." In today's video, I'm going to share with you 5 small habits from Japan that helped Yuki and me turn a messy, stressful house into a home that breathes. And if you're over 50 like me, these habits aren't just helpful, they're life-changing. There was a morning, I still remember it, when I stood in the middle of my kitchen, frustrated and exhausted. I had just spent 20 minutes looking for my glasses, then 5 more searching for my car keys. And as I stepped over a pile of unopened mail and last week's grocery bags still sitting on the floor, I said out loud, "Why does this house feel heavier every day?" It wasn't just the mess. It was the feeling that my own home, the place that was supposed to support me, comfort me, hold me, was slowly becoming a burden. And I started to notice little things. How I avoided inviting people over because I was embarrassed. How I felt more tired at home than anywhere else. How I kept telling myself, "I'll clean it this weekend," and then dreading the weekend because of it. It's strange, isn't it? We spend our whole lives building a home, filling it with memories, with objects, with pieces of who we were. But over time, those same things can begin to weigh us down, make us feel trapped in a version of our life that no longer fits, especially when we reach a certain age. Suddenly, what once felt cozy now feels cluttered. What once brought joy now just gathers dust. And slowly, we stop feeling at peace in our own space. That was the breaking point for me. Not a dramatic moment, just a quiet realization. Something has to change. I didn't need a bigger house. I didn't need fancy storage solutions. I needed less mess, less stress, less someday. And that's exactly what I found when I met Yuki. It happened on a Saturday, just when I needed it most. I had driven to the Cherry Blossom Festival in San Francisco, hoping a change of scenery would lift my mood. There were taiko drums echoing in the streets, the smell of sweet rice cakes in the air, and crowds of families, tourists, and elders wrapped in colorful kimonos. But amidst all that joy, my heart felt heavy. I wandered past booths selling handmade tea sets and calligraphy scrolls until I reached a small corner where a woman sat folding paper cranes with quiet focus. Her name was Yuki. She looked up and smiled, softly, kindly, the way someone smiles when they know a little more than they say. She had silver hair tied neatly at the back, a warm cardigan, and hands that moved with grace. And when I complimented her origami, she offered me a seat as if she had been waiting for me. We talked about the festival, about Japan, about how much I loved the calmness of Japanese homes. And that's when she said something that made me pause. "You know," she said gently, "in Japan, we don't clean because things are messy. We clean because it's a way of caring for the space that cares for us." I must have looked surprised because she chuckled, then added, "It's not about perfection, it's about peace. And peace begins with less." She told me about her own home in San Jose, a small apartment she had lived in for over 30 years. Not big, not fancy, but always calm, always easy to breathe in. And then she asked me, "Have you ever heard of the 5S method?" I shook my head. That's when she leaned in slightly, as if she were about to share a secret, not just a cleaning tip, but a way of life. And what she shared next would completely change how I looked at every corner of my home. Yuki began with a single word: Seiri. It means to sort, she said, but it's more than just organizing. It's choosing what deserves to stay and what your heart is finally ready to let go. She told me that when she first moved from Osaka to California, she brought everything: clothes from her youth, kitchenware from her mother, gifts she never opened but felt too guilty to throw away. But after just a few years, her small apartment began to feel tight, not physically, but emotionally. She described walking through her hallway sideways because of stacked boxes, opening her closet only to feel overwhelmed, and most of all, feeling like the past was pressing in on her from all directions. One day, she said, I asked myself, am I living in a home or a museum of who I used to be? So she decided to begin, not with a full house, but with a single drawer. She laid everything out one by one and asked herself three questions. 1. Do I use this now? 2. Do I still love it? 3. Does it support the life I want today? If the answer was no, she thanked it. Yes, actually said thank you, and let it go. The first time she filled 3 garbage bags. The second time she filled 6 more. Most she donated to a local thrift store that supported low-income seniors. That day, she smiled, my apartment became brighter, but more than that, my mind felt lighter. As she spoke, I thought of all the things I'd kept just in case. The dress I hadn't worn in 10 years. The extra coffee maker. The mismatched plates I felt guilty throwing away. I realized something. We don't just hold on to objects. We hold on to emotions. Guilt. Nostalgia. Fear that letting go means forgetting. But Yuki reminded me that releasing an object isn't erasing a memory. It's simply making space for the present and for peace. She also pointed out a cultural difference I had never noticed. In Japan, she said, we believe if something hasn't been used in a year, it has already served its purpose. In America, she smiled gently, people keep it, store it, and wait. And she was right. Many of us use the keep, donate, decide later method. It's cautious. It feels safe. But sometimes that later never comes. Yuki's method wasn't about being ruthless. It was about being honest with yourself, with your life today. And that was my first lesson. Decluttering isn't about losing. It's about returning to yourself. After learning how to let go, Yuki smiled and said, now that you've made space, it's time to give everything a home. That's what Seiton means, set in order. She explained it in the simplest way. A place for everything, everything in its place. I followed her into her kitchen. Not large, not fancy, but it felt peaceful. Every surface clear, every drawer quiet, every item knew where it belonged. There was a small tray near the door, one for her glasses, one for her keys. Her spices were lined up with big, bold labels: salt, pepper, ginger. In the bathroom, she had transparent containers labeled hair, face, teeth, so even a guest could find anything without asking. This way, she said, I never lose time searching, and visitors don't feel like strangers. And I thought of my own home. How often had I opened 3 drawers just to find a screwdriver? How many times had guests asked, where's the sugar? Or where are the towels? I realized something profound. When we don't assign things a place, we create tiny daily frictions, moments of chaos we learn to tolerate. Yuki didn't spend money on fancy organizers. She didn't build more shelves or install new cabinets. She just grouped similar things, placed them close to where she used them, and labeled them clearly: simple, practical, beautiful. She shared another cultural difference that made me pause. In Japan, she said, We believe the home should be self-explanatory. Even if someone visits for the first time, they should feel like they can move naturally. By contrast, many American homes, especially for seniors, are organized more by memory than by logic. The junk drawer, the somewhere in the garage, the I think it's under the sink. It works until memory fades, until arthritis makes bending harder, until living alone means no one else knows where anything is. Seiton isn't just for now. It's a quiet gift to your future self. And even more, it's a kindness to those who may someday care for you. Tidying, Yuki said, is not just for you. It's how we say, welcome, you belong here too. That was my second lesson. Order isn't rigid. It's a form of respect for your space, your time, and the people you love. Once everything had its place, Yuki leaned forward and asked me a question I didn't expect. What does your home say to you in the morning? I paused. I had never thought of it that way. She explained that in Japan, there's a belief that the way your home greets you each day affects how you carry yourself through the world. That's where Seiso comes in. Shine. Not just clean. Shine. Not once a week. Not when guests are coming. But every single day, in small, loving ways. Yuki's ritual was simple. Every night, before bed, she spent exactly 10 minutes, no more. She wiped down her kitchen counters, rinsed the sink, shook out the welcome mat, lightly swept the entryway. So that in the morning, she said, my house says to me, you're safe here, you're cared for. I was stunned, because for years my home had been whispering something very different. You're behind, you haven't done enough, you'll deal with this later. And that quiet shame, it followed me into my day. But Yuki's method wasn't about scrubbing or deep cleaning. It was about consistency, rhythm, soft maintenance that builds peace over time. She reminded me of something beautiful from her childhood in Osaka. In school, she said, we cleaned our classrooms every day. Not because they were dirty, but because we learned, when you care for your space, you care for your spirit. And she brought that habit with her, even after decades in America. Her mirror was always wiped before bed. The sink never had dishes overnight. The shoes were lined up, not because anyone told her to, but because she found calm in that order. I thought about how most of us here in the US treat cleaning like a big task to get over with once a week. Vacuuming on Saturdays, mopping on Sundays, dreading both, and maybe that works. But what Yuki offered felt different, gentler, lighter, sustainable. She said, some people meditate, I sweep. I laughed at first, but then it clicked. Cleaning isn't just for the house, it's for the heart. Even 10 minutes a day can clear more than dust. It can clear worry, restlessness, tension. That night I went home and tried it. I set a timer, wiped down the stove, cleared off the table, lit a small candle. When I woke up the next morning, my home greeted me with quiet. And for the first time in a long time, so did my mind. By now, I was beginning to understand that Yuki didn't just have a clean home. She had a living system that worked for her, not against her. That's when she introduced the next step, Seiketsu, to standardize. Anyone can clean once, she said. But peace comes from what you do over and over, without even thinking about it. She opened her refrigerator and pointed to a small sheet of paper taped to the door. It was handwritten, just a few lines. Monday, wipe kitchen counters. Tuesday, tidy bathroom. Wednesday, change tablecloth. Thursday, shake out rugs. Friday, water plants. That was it. As I get older, she said with a laugh, I don't want to rely on memory, I just want clarity. Her children knew the schedule. So did her granddaughter, who'd often help with Wednesday's tablecloth or Friday's plants. There was no nagging, no wondering who would do what. just a gentle rhythm, like a household song everyone knew by heart. I thought about my own home. How often had I left things undone, thinking, I'll get to it tomorrow, only to resent myself when tomorrow came with twice the chores? How often had I wished my family would help more without ever showing them how? Yuki didn't demand help. She created shared rituals, visible, simple, and kind. She also told me about her time volunteering at a Japanese American community center. After each event, no one needed to ask what to do. One person wiped tables, another folded chairs, someone else gathered trash. No chaos, no confusion, just everyone doing a small part, together. She smiled and said, "In Japan, we don't wait to feel like cleaning. We trust the rhythm." That's the heart of Seiketsu. Not rules, but reminders. Not perfection, but participation. I saw another cultural contrast here too. In many American homes, habits are built through repetition. Laundry on Saturdays, gardening on Sundays. But often, it lives only in memory or personal routines. Yuki's way brought it out into the open, on the fridge, on the wall, for everyone to see, to remember, to share. It was gentle structure, and it worked, because over time, the home stopped being a place one person cleaned. It became a space everyone cared for. That was my fourth lesson. Peace isn't made alone. It's built, one small shared rhythm at a time. I once asked Yuki, "How do you keep it going? Isn't it hard to stay consistent?" She tilted her head slightly and said, "Not if it becomes who you are." That's the essence of Shitsuke, the final S. It means discipline, but not in the way most of us think. Not rigid, not punishing. More like rhythm that feels like breathing. Yuki didn't need reminders or alarms to tidy up, because by now it wasn't a task. It was simply the way she lived. She told me a story from her childhood in Osaka, how her mother never gave long speeches about cleanliness. She simply hung her coat up when she entered, lined her shoes by the door, tidied the table without saying a word. "We just watched her," Yuki said, "and we followed." That quiet example stayed with her across continents and decades. Now, every night before bed, she and her granddaughter play what they call the 5-minute reset. They put on a cheerful song. Then, with light hearts and quick steps, they run around the house putting things back in place. Shoes by the door, cushions fluffed, dishes rinsed. It's not perfect. It's not about checking boxes. It's about preserving calm, gently, joyfully. "She thinks it's a game," Yuki said with a grin. "I think it's a gift." That's what Shitsuke creates. Not habits you have to remember, but habits that remember you. I reflected on how many times I'd said, "I'll clean it later. I'm too tired right now. It's just a small mess." But every delay turned into clutter. Every skip moment turned into a Saturday I dreaded. Yuki showed me another way. Not all at once. Not grand changes. Just small returns to order, done with love and done often enough to become second nature. In American households, I'd seen a different kind of order. Families working from rules. Everyone clears their own plate. Fridays are for vacuuming. That works too. But Yuki's way felt softer. It didn't tell. It showed. It didn't push. It invited. And in that quiet invitation, something powerful happens. We stop cleaning because we have to, and start tidying because it makes us feel whole. That was my fifth lesson. True discipline isn't control. It's care, practiced so gently, it becomes who you are. When the festival ended and the crowd slowly drifted away, I found myself walking in silence, carrying no souvenirs, no bags, just the memory of a woman named Yuki and 5 simple habits that felt like whispers of wisdom. That night, I didn't try to change everything. I didn't empty closets or rearrange cabinets. I just chose one drawer, one corner of my kitchen counter, and I started. It took less than 10 minutes. But something in me shifted. I realized this wasn't about being tidy. It was about coming home to myself, because when your house is calm, you sleep deeper. You breathe softer. You move slower, not from age, but from peace. And you begin to notice the small joys again, the sound of the kettle, the warmth of light on the floor, the comfort of knowing exactly where your favorite mug is. Yuki never used the word minimalism. She didn't talk about Pinterest homes or Instagram aesthetics. She talked about life, about honoring the space that holds your memories, your routines, your body that's carried you this far. And she showed me that no matter your age, you can choose lightness, you can choose ease, you can choose to live in a space that helps you feel safe, steady, and seen. So here's what I'll leave you with. Don't wait for the perfect weekend. Don't wait until it's bad enough. Start with one drawer, one shelf, one new habit that says, I care about this home because I care about this life. Let your home breathe again. And you just might find you're breathing easier too. If this message spoke to you, I'd love to know, which of the 5 steps will you start with this weekend? Leave a comment below, because your story, your journey, could inspire someone else to begin theirs. And if you found even a little bit of light in this video, please consider liking, sharing, or subscribing. Your support is the quiet win beneath these stories. And together, we can build homes that heal, not just hold. Thank you for being here. Until next time, stay well and stay light.